JBN, we keep you informed. 2 men arrested in Spanish Town gun find. 2 men have been arrested in connection with Monday's seizure of a Kel-Tec P11 pistol with a magazine containing 9 9mm rounds of ammunition along Waverly Avenue, Spanish Town in St. Catherine. The police said about 11:30 p.m. officers went in search of a group of men who stole an iPhone. The phone was tracked to a premises that was occupied by 2 men. A search was conducted and the firearm was reportedly found under a stone in the yard. The 2 men that occupied the premises were arrested and charged following a question and answer session in the presence of their attorney. The men have been identified as 29-year-old Ashando Kirkpatrick of Marcus Way, Bay Farm Villa, Kingston 11, and the 31-year-old laborer Sheldon Smith of 11 Lansdale Avenue, Kingston 10. Their court date is being finalized. Farmer slapped with multiple charges following domestic dispute. A man is now facing several assault charges following a domestic dispute between himself and a woman at his home in Lennox Bigwoods, Darlington in Westmoreland on Saturday, June 20. Charged with assault at common law, illegal possession of firearm and assault occasioning actual bodily harm is 35-year-old Edward Masters, a farmer in the parish. Police reports are that Masters and the woman were at his home when a dispute developed between them. Masters then allegedly used a bottle to hit the woman several times to her face, then pulled a firearm from his waistband, which he used to hit her in the face, the police said. The matter was reported to the police and Masters was arrested during an operation on Monday, July 6. He was later charged on Wednesday, July 8. He is to appear in court soon. 3 killed execution style in Spanish Town. 3 men were gunned down Thursday morning in the St. John's Road area of Spanish Town, St. Catherine. One of the men has been identified as Rashid Vassal, otherwise called Bully, a 25-year-old customer service representative of Clayton Heights. The other 2 men remain unidentified. Reports are that about 12:05 a.m. the men were at a house on St. John's Road when armed men, posing as cops, ordered them to open their doors. The men were taken outside and shot execution style. Up to late this afternoon, the investigators were still processing the scene. 2 arrested after gun and ammo found in pickup truck. The police have arrested and charged 2 men following the seizure of a Glock 9mm pistol with several rounds of ammunition during a search of the motor vehicle in which they were traveling along the Ulster Spring Main Road on Tuesday, July 7. According to the police, about 8:40 p.m., a white Mitsubishi pickup truck was intercepted during a spot check on the roadway. The vehicle was searched and the firearm allegedly found in a sock in the front of the vehicle. The Falmouth Criminal Investigation Branch, CIB, is investigating. PMP cites decision to replace Councillor Sampson in the next local government election as reason for her crossing the floor. The People's National Party PMP says its decision to replace Councillor Faith Sampson as the party's candidate for the Johns Hall division in Manchester Northwest was a cause for her change in party affiliation. Sampson this morning crossed the floor of the Manchester Municipal Corporation and joined the minority Jamaica Labour Party, JLP. According to the PMP, it informed Sampson of his decision on Monday, July 6, and the divisional executive on Tuesday when she resigned from the party. In a statement, the party said the 3-term councillor had been declining in support and favourability, and a recent internal assessment confirmed that her candidacy would present a challenge for the upcoming local government election due in November. The PMP said it was not surprised by this morning's events. The PMP thanks Councillor Sampson for her years of service to the party and the people of the Johns Hall division and wishes her well in her endeavours, the party's statement read. The party said it would immediately proceed with the selection process to select a new councillor candidate for the division. New St. Anne's Bay Mayor to replace Belle Nevis today. Jamaica Labour Party JLP Councillor Sydney Stewart is expected to be elevated today from Deputy to Mayor of St. Anne's Bay and the Chairman of the St. Anne Municipal Corporation upon confirmation of the resignation of Michael Belle Nevis. Dallas Dickinson, councillor for the Bamboo Division, who is expected to be elected the new deputy mayor, said the plans were finalized at a recent caucus of the Jamaica Labour Party representatives in the local authority. A number of issues have been bedeviling the corporation's management and have prompted a probe by the Integrity Commission. The JLP is keen on avoiding any embarrassment, as the People's National Party PNP minority has promised today to put forward a motion of no confidence against Bell Navis, whose own party colleagues have asked him to step down. It is not clear whether Bell Navis will stay on as a councillor for the Ocho-Rios division. He reportedly told his JLP colleagues that he would give up the elected office if he could not be mayor. Residents and politicians welcome security initiative in Augustown. The police are optimistic that the Zone of Special Operations ZOZO, declared in Augustown St. Andrew yesterday, will solve the problem of gunmen plaguing the community once and for all. Senior Superintendent of Police Steve McGregor, who heads operations for the Area 4 Police, noted that initiatives in the past to stem violence in the community had only produced short-term results. This time around, he said the operation will drive thugs away from the area for good. One of the things that was missing in all of the interventions that have taken place in Augustown is that a proper clearing of the criminals was not gone into and was done on top of a lot of features that needed clearance. Those interventions were probably too fast, too early. The longest was a 1-year stint of no murders, and that just burst back out into what we have now. We are hoping that this time we'll get a chance to do a proper clearing and cleansing of the old sore, so to speak, and then we can put the interventions in place, he said. McGregor shared that 10 males of interest to the authorities were taken into custody just a few hours after Prime Minister Andrew Holness declared the ZOZO, which will run for an initial 60 days. The ZOZO has 3 phases. We're in the clear phase now. The clear phase means we are going to dismantle gang bases, arrest wanted people, go after the guns, arms and ammunition. We have started this, and we'll go into the hold phase after we do this, he explained. The residents are anticipating the build phase because that will bring work opportunities for them, and it will bring the ability to enhance their place and make it look better. McGregor added that the first phase of the initiative will mean an 8 p.m. curfew for residents. We want control of this space. When we reach into the hold phase, we will relax it somewhat because by then we'll be comfortable that we have a hold of this space, he said. We have not encountered any challenges so far. We have not been engaged in any violent way. Our dominance might be the reason for that. McGregor also called on persons in neighboring communities not to harbor any criminals who may be seeking refuge. It is going to make our jobs harder, but it will also put their lives in harm, he said. Residents said that the security initiative was overdue, lamenting that the violence impacts everyone. Gunting affects everybody. From the police and soldiers them there do them work, everybody feel good. Now that the ZOZO is here, when we see a car driver come up, we don't really have to look and wonder who that, a resident said. When night come, you usually have to find your little hole. We welcome them. If you live down here, you'll be glad for it too, because sometimes we hear the bomb them a beat. Papine Division Councillor Venetia Phillips and Eastern St. Andrew Member of Parliament Favour Williams also welcomed the initiative. Accused King Valley gangsters freed, weakness cited in anti-gang legislation. Yesterday's not guilty verdict for the 6 men accused of committing heinous crimes under the umbrella of a Westmoreland gang has raised questions about the nation's prosecutors' ability to win other gang-related cases now before the court. The verdict came as a shock to prosecutors and brings into sharp focus long-standing concerns about weaknesses in the anti-gang legislation, compounded by fearful witnesses who refuse to testify in court. We have other gang matters before the court, and it means then, since Chief Justice Brian Sykes emphasized the absence of what he called supporting evidence as distinct from corroboration, it means that where the pending cases are concerned, we'll have to go back to the drawing board and look to see if there is what the Chief Justice has termed supporting evidence. A senior prosecutor in the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, who led most of the evidence in the case, said, "If that is absent, we'll have to determine whether or not we proceed," the prosecutor added. Director of Public Prosecutions Paula Llewellyn was among those who yesterday expressed surprise at the outcome of the almost 7-month-long trial, which has been widely seen as a test of the anti-gang legislation passed 6 years ago. Only a handful of gang-related cases have been tried since then. We, as prosecutors, defense counsel, give all due respect and regard to the judgment of the court. But on a human level and as practitioners, we are still at liberty to express surprise. And I think I can also speak for the police, who also would have been surprised and definitely would have been disappointed, Llewellyn said. The learned trial judge revealed his mind. This is a case the media were allowed to cover and transmit a lot of the evidence that was elicited. So I feel sure that members of the media and the public may have their own opinion. However, in the final analysis, in our system of justice, in a bench trial, it is the judge who will decide. The best evidence comes from persons who at least allege that they were part and parcel of the particular gang. In handing down his verdict following a lengthy summation which began on Tuesday, Justice Sykes cited the absence of support for evidence given by the prosecution's star witness as a major deciding factor. The 6 accused, Carlington Godfrey, otherwise called Tommy, Ronaldo McInnes, otherwise called Ratty, Derval Williams, called Lukey, Kristen Grant, alias Ecoy, Lindell Powell, also called Lazarus, and Copeland Sankey, also known as Tupac, had been charged in an indictment containing 11 counts on suspicion of being part of a criminal organization, providing benefits to a criminal organization, and conspiring to commit murder, rape, and robbery with aggravation from as early as 2013. They had been in custody since October 2018. The case was being keenly watched largely because of the graphic description of the alleged crimes committed by the accused. During the debate in the House of Representatives in 2014, when the anti-gang legislation was passed, then Attorney General Patrick Atkins noted that it failed to encourage tough policing as it did not provide additional powers to lawmen. This issue was also raised 4 years later by DPP Llewellyn, who urged the police to push Parliament to make allowances that would grant them the powers of entry, search, and seizure when pursuing suspected gang members. During the King Valley trial, the star witness was the linchpin of the prosecution's case. Over several days at the start of the trial in January, he testified via live video link from an undisclosed location, telling the court that the alleged gang members were involved in the deadly lottery scamming scheme, committed murders and rapes in the course of robberies, and were also murderers for hire. The witness, a former member of the gang, also said he had, in 2018, handed himself over to the police and decided to give evidence against them after they killed 7 of his own family members, including his father, aunt, 2 uncles, a cousin, a sister, and an in-law, in seeking to flush him out of hiding. But the Chief Justice said, other than with respect to 1 count, there is no evidence supporting the narrative of Mr. X on any of the other counts. The DPP's lead prosecutor in the case said that the team did its best with the evidence available. They would not have gone to trial, said the prosecutor, if they did not believe they could win. Justice Sykes, in one observation, had pointed to the absence of rape victims from the lineup of evidence, statements of victims, or even police reports of the incidents on the part of the prosecution. That, the prosecutor said, was not for lack of trying. It needs to be understood that when you're going to mount a case, especially when you're talking about gangsters, persons involved in a criminal organization, this is not just a one-off murder or a one-off rape. These persons have organized themselves into a group where one of their sole purposes is to create mayhem, to terrorize people, to commit crime. The average member of the society who is a victim is not going to come forward. They will reluctantly give you a statement, but they will tell you, "I will never come to court," the prosecutor said. In this particular case, not only did witnesses disappear, their houses also vanished. This is what we have to work with ordinarily. It is even worse when you're talking about prosecuting a criminal organization. The victim, these persons, who have told us that they were raped, they told us we're not coming to court. We want people to appreciate that Westmoreland is a parish where you can take up your house and move with it. A witness will come and give you a statement today, give you their address, and tomorrow when you go to the place, the house is no longer there, the prosecutor said. Now, I'm not going to say which one of our witnesses that relates to, but this is a fact that can be confirmed. Houses can move in Westmoreland. That is the result of fear factor. While yesterday's verdict cannot be appealed, Llewellyn said the glimmer of hope in the outcome was the fact that 5 of the 6 individuals have other matters pending before at least 2 other courts and would therefore remain in the custody of the police pending bail applications. Those cases will be tried with jurors, and even though we have not been able to convince a single judge where this is concerned, hopefully we'll be able to convince 7 ordinary members of the public, she said. Meanwhile, attorney Everton Bird, speaking on behalf of the team of defense lawyers, waxed eloquent in heaping praise on the judge. Your Lordship has approached the evidence in a most pristine manner. We thank you for the intellectual acuity with which you addressed it, he said. I am very pleased at it because some very daring attempts were made, in my opinion, by the prosecution in this case. For example, the fact that you'll be trying somebody on allegations where the matter of proving the allegations is not in the ordinary course of things, he added. If you're trying to prove murder, rape, slander, there are certain guidelines you have to follow. In this case, precedence means to have been placed upon the verbalization of an offense, and the prosecution relied on that extremely large volume of hearsay evidence from living people and dead people. That's a travesty, and I'm glad that did not succeed, he said after the ruling. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember, subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.